It's Scott Beck from Scott on Security. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a co-star in the Amazon cybersecurity documentary and a two-time best-selling author and CEO of BeckTech, a cybersecurity firm located in Canada. This week we're talking about ransomware, and yesterday I was talking about what is ransomware, a virus that can encrypt or lock all your files, and you won't get it back until you pay the criminal. Today, we're going to be talking about the evolution of ransomware and why you really should be concerned about it and the impact that it can really cause and have on your business and on your personally. Imagine if you lost all the photos with your grandparents or great-grandparents or whatever the case is, and somebody's going to hold them ransom. And as we talked about yesterday, you're hoping if you pay the ransom, you're just hoping that the bad guy that locked the files is going to be a good enough guy to give them back to you if you pay him enough money. And as I said yesterday, 2 to 3 times out of 5, it's not happening. You don't get the files back. So when this first broke onto the scene, it's about 6-7 years ago. I was blessed, well, in a way, I guess. I'm involved with an IT peer group. We meet quarterly, and one of the guys in my peer group had a client that got this virus. It locked his files, and it was demanding, I think at the time it was like $40. I mean, it wasn't very expensive, and they wanted it by Bitcoin. And they said, hey, you've got to pay us in Bitcoin within 48 hours, or we're going to delete the key to give you back your files. See, so with this encryption, there's a key that locks it all up locally on your machine, and then there's a key, or what they call a public key, to then go and unlock it all. And they were saying if you didn't pay them in 48 hours, they were going to get rid of that public key. You wouldn't be able to get your files back. Now, it was kind of a first edition, well, not kind of, it was a first edition of ransomware. And what it turns out when we started digging into it, my peers and I, is that we found that while the files were locked, if you had something called Shadow Protect turned on, it's something that comes with the operating system, we were able to go into, and my peer was able to go into Shadow Protect and get copies of those files and bring them back. So the client didn't have to pay. Over the next couple of months, what was interesting was that the bad guys realized there was people willing to pay them, but Bitcoin was so new. I mean, a lot of people today still don't know what Bitcoin is, and that it's an online digital currency, but they had no idea how to go purchase it or how to buy it. So the problem they were running into is people were emailing them saying, look, we want to pay you, but we don't know how. So they ended up pushing that out further. Now, as we continue to move forward, and there's been new versions of this ransomware come out as different cyber hacker groups come out and they start improving on it. It's just like in any business, right? You're trying to build efficiencies into your systems. You're trying to get more return on your revenue. Well, it's the same for the bad guys, all right? They caught on to the concept. This is a new cutting edge concept of how to generate revenue, and they keep making improvements on it and improvements on it and improvements on it. And listen, fact of the matter is we're 7 years in, and they've made so many improvements on it that if you get hit by ransomware, we good guys can't get it back for you. You are out of luck. You're going to have to hope that you've taken precautions to protect against it from it happening to begin with, and have taken precautions that if you do get hit with it, that you're going to be able to get your files back from your backup. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the week, more detailed on steps you should take to protect yourself against ransomware and what steps you need to have in place to make sure if you do happen to get hit, how you can be back up and running in short order and not have to pay the bad guys the money. But there's been some real tweaks of how the bad guys are generating the actual revenue. We just had a big change of how they're doing it last week with a new attack that's currently focused on plastic surgeons. Now, I suspect once they get this kind of figured out on the plastic surgeons and what they're doing with that, they're going to take it to other industries and it's going to spread just the same way that ransomware, when it first came out 7 years ago, has changed and morphed and taking on different looks as other people get in and keep trying to improve it. So we just had this big change happen last week. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow because They're using social engineering to get you to spread their virus for them. Yeah, you say, I would never do that, Scott. Well, people are doing it. And we're going to tell you why and how that's happening and why some of these new versions of what they're doing is downright scary. That's coming up tomorrow on Scott on Security. Thanks a lot for joining me on this journey. If you've got some questions about cybersecurity or technology, please feel free to direct message me. I'd be happy to answer them and put them on an episode. Maybe it'd be kind of fun to have some fan questions and be able to put it on here. And if you're wondering why it seems to be a little dark and it's not my normal room, it's because I'm actually on site at a client's place. They are rolling out a whole new software system and putting in cybersecurity. And so I'm here to assist them with that. And I'm sitting in the GM's office right now recording the video. So I'll be back to my normal haunts likely later this week. Thanks a lot for joining me on the journey, and be safe out there.